So, John, uh, here, this actually, now, just while the intro is running, explain to the fine folks at home the hardware setup that we're looking at here. You're actually not running this in an emulator.
No, this is running on a FPGA hardware, which is a fancy term for a little chip that converts itself to react like the chips did on these original hardwares. It'll do both Amiga, like we're seeing, and pretty much any other core that the fine folks that work on these can figure out how to set up all the connections for. There's a really fascinating history being developed on how people are figuring out these core designs. It's very cool.
Very
But
cool.
we're getting raw signal from it as far as video goes. It's an absolute pleasure living in the 20th 21st century, being able to do this stuff.
Definitely. So, now, just to give you some background on the game as we're going into it, and I believe you did mention while you were playing that, wait, is that a biplane? Yes, that is a biplane.
Yes, I thought this was something completely different.
What did you think going into it?
Just from the name? Oh, I have no idea. I didn't know if it was going to be a platformer or, well, knowing you, I probably should have assumed it was going to be a strategy game, but this it's cool. I don't know what kind of title I get from the words megalomania.
Well, a megalomaniac is a power-hungry tyrant.
Oh,
Is a
right. Okay.
megalomaniac. So megalomania is the act of acting like a megalomaniac.
Got
So
it.
which makes sense because you're basically ruling over these people. So, okay, so here you're figuring out, you have three islands on this brand new world in the cosmos, and you have to take on the green guy on this first island.
Right.
And you're trying to figure out how to put people in the castle, right?
Oh, I'm finding that this UI is very intense without having any guidance. The only tip that I was given was to read the text, which took me a little bit longer than I probably should have. It's funny how you mentioned there's three islands. I only recognized the two. I was like, okay, so those two squares have to be like two tiles that either I and somebody else take. And
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. This is I was like, okay, so left, I'm just using like my best deduction skills to figure out the controls and then also these shiny buttons that I get to click. I think it's just enough information to get you there, but I was definitely out of my league here.
Yeah, and it takes a little while to get used to it. And you also have to remember this game is coming out at least a year before Dune 2. It's coming out before Civilization hits the market. There really is very little on the market even close to this, especially something with a tech tree like this, where you're developing stuff and you have to manage the resource of people and materials and all this stuff. Uh, and I think the one thing you didn't quite figure out was that the little symbol of the guy in the window with a crossbow or a bow, those are only weapons that can be used in the towers.
Right. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and that was for
You're
those at
probably
home.
shouting to
I,
yourself.
I was like, why doesn't he figure this out? Is this? And then you see the wood on the side there. That's the resources you have available, which also grow automatically in time. And then at one point, a little bit later, there's going to be this giant pothole in your land, and that means that you've run out of resources you can exploit in this territory. So you've taken
Oh,
all the material out.
okay. Yeah, I
And
totally missed that. I was like, okay, there's a black hole here now. I'm accepting that as a thing that's happened. I was
yeah,
very oh, sorry, I cut you off.
yeah. No problem. It's one of these really cool little visual ways that they're communicating with you about what's happening without having to do something like animating all the trees being destroyed or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's very purposefully placed.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
little crazy with all the arrows. That's not something I'm used to, but actually no, what was like the game that we had played multiplayer on and it was building
Cannon
like
fodder.
no. We were building units and I managed to like resource lock myself.
Oh, Settlers.
That was Settlers. Okay, yeah, that I was expecting a little more of that.
Yeah, and Settlers is coming in I think 2 years after this.
Oh, so after this. Wow, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
no.
just
Yeah,
putting in
that's all still
perspective.
coming in the future. Uh,
Wow.
and so this is why, and this is also one of these games where this is coming before Cannon Fodder. This is the same guys who did Cannon Fodder. And you can tell the little guys, the tiny little 5 pixel
Oh,
tall
yeah,
guys
I can see
become their
that.
signature. They're also going to do Sensible Soccer, which is their soccer game. Oh, and here you're making the biggest long-term mistake. You're only leaving 2 guys left.
Uh-huh.
Well, in order to pass the level, you have to conquer all 3 of the islands, and you're only going to have 2 guys to conquer the other 2 islands with.
It's fine. After that first loss, it was like I'm reclaiming this island right here. I'll be damned. So
Yeah.
this one, I got my wits about me a bit more. I know what's going on. I'm like, go on, my children, be
Be
researchy. I don't even
fruitful.
know. Yeah, and I was trying to figure out how to. Yeah, because I'm used to command and conquer style. Got to drop down, click the dude, and then yeah, and then I guess I realized that we could place stuff in the turrets because
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
ran through last time. I think they
exactly.
tried to attack me. I don't even. I'm glad that I can rewatch this because I had some of the stuff that was happening. I totally missed.
Yeah, and believe me, this game gets so chaotic because you start moving through the tech tree so quickly,
Yeah.
and you see how quickly your population is also growing at this point.
Hmm.
But here it says add an unarmed man. You just kept making armies of unarmed men, and I was like, can't you read? It says unarmed. They can't attack
Oh,
anything.
I
It's like,
wasn't reading. I was clicking to see what things did, and I was like, this is a good number of people to put there, not acknowledging the number. And let's try and do it again.
and the best part is you have it set to the fastest speed, so everything is changing. Everything's moving at super speed.
So in my head, I recognize the fact that I had people, and I was like, all right, when they come, I'm gonna have dudes here. So I moved it super quick, and then I was trying to figure out how to arm the guys after I placed them. Give them shields. Put our best men into researching it. Let's go.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this is really one of these things. It takes a long time to really figure out all the mechanics. The funny thing is this game gets ported to console,
Oh, there's the port.
and all of the reviewers are like, if you can manage to control all the menus, it's great. Because without a mouse, this thing is a nightmare to control.
Oh yeah, you could move it with the arrow keys on the keyboard, but that was it.
Yeah, but just on a Super Nintendo or Genesis controller, forget about it. This thing, once you're in the higher levels with much larger islands with a lot more fields and stuff, it becomes almost impossible to keep up with, the switching. Okay, what am I developing now? What do I need to invest in and stuff?
Oh, I went through like 4 ages without realizing it during this
Yeah,
playthrough.
exactly.
I was just happy to be alive past the first like 2 minute mark. It's like yeah, I don't feel like anybody playing this without prior knowledge of what to do, getting past the first or second playthrough very
Oh
well.
yeah,
It's just not
definitely.
doable.
Well, especially not using a number of men that is reasonable, so you can still have enough left over to attack the next couple of islands.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I could see where not putting all your eggs into one basket is
Yeah.
beneficial in this game. But again, I was out for blood. I was wondering why a bunch of my unarmed dudes are just running around in that dude's territory, not doing anything.
Well, because they're unarmed. It's like,
Well, obviously, but well, I'm trying to figure stuff out. I don't know how to place. And then I was like, whoa, I can add armed
ooh,
people.
now
So
now
I've
you got
got
an
I've got
archer.
And Archer, yes, he's doing all the damage.
And you try. Oh yeah, you can place more archers on your building, but yeah. And now you're at the Roman stage already, which is pretty impressive, all things considered. I mean, you're moving up through the ages.
I put all of my children into the space. Next island. I didn't even acknowledge the fact that there's a next island. So in that little overview area before where there were 3 islands, could I click those? Because I thought I had tried to click those. Or do you naturally progress through them by completing this?
Oh, I think I can't remember. I think you have to do one at a time. I think you have to do one at a time.
Okay, so I wasn't completely off base there, but
yeah. But then when you move to a different planet, there's a whole bunch of planets and different numbers of islands in each one, and the relative size of the island, it tells you how many fields are going to be in the island.
Got it.
On the island.
Yeah, I figured this was a small one with a my field and their field.
Yeah. And so yeah, this is, and you see how the years are going by, 100 BC already.
Yeah, because I left it running at top speed.
Exactly.
Speed running this crap of a playthrough. There we go. They're done. I did it.
Oh, President of Aloha.
Oh, I missed.
And so here you come back, and you got the 2 islands left. You can see there's a little flag on the island that you've conquered. Oh no, maybe you can click. I can't remember if you can click on them or not. It's been too long. But yeah, you see the next island. There's a 2x2, and the white island's even bigger than that, actually.
Wow.
So, and this is where the real strategy comes in of, okay, how many guys do I need? And can I get through really, and stuff. It gets really, really complicated. And then once you start getting jet fighters, and then it just builds up until you develop nukes, and then you just start nuking the other guy.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that serious. I feel like through that playthrough, just the 7 minutes, I learned 2 of the ages, the figure out the controls age, and then the make it through the first island age. And now I'm at the point where I'm ready to take on the next island age or the next area age. So
yeah,
it's an interesting game.
This game is phenomenal. It's many people, I mean, amongst the Amiga people, this was like, okay, this is the RTS. And then everything else is basically just a mimic of this. But as we'll see in the stories today, the idea of the RTS as we know it is already in development for a while now at this point. So it's a lot of people are coming up with the idea at the same time now that the processors are fast enough to handle all the units moving around. So, the idea of how do you implement these ideas of tech trees, which were well known in board games? How do you implement the idea of all the troops moving around, the base building, and so forth? And it's just different development studios coming to very different conclusions about how to realize that and how to implement it.
Right.
So, yeah. Huh. It's going to be fun. The next year or so is year and a half is going to bring us all the major iterations of this concept and the elements that basically will define the genre going forward for the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, I find it mind-boggling just putting in the perspective of, this was pre-Dune, pre-Command and Conquer, all that. Well, the latter's more obvious, but yeah, just the games that I'm throwing out there that are like might be in this era. This is before that.
Yeah, this is there. All of it. It's out of the gate, and it's the brilliance of Sensible Software. It's, well, okay, we want to do all these strategy elements. Let's also make it so freaking hectic and 1,000 little guys running around the screen because that's just fun to watch. And that's what made Sensible Software such an amazing studio. And virtually every game they ever released was just brilliant. But okay, let's get back to the episode.